The great thing about being high in the mountains, when it rains, it's not wet. Stay nice and dry.
The Peru Divide route follows the spine of the Andes. Waterfalling on the eastern slopes will take a 5,000 kilometre journey to the Atlantic Ocean, while anything falling on the western slopes will travel just 100 kilometres to the Pacific. I followed this incredible watershed north for 1,000 kilometres on my way to Alaska.
I've been invited into this house for breakfast today. It's all very civilized. I've been given a newspaper and a chair, and they're just cooking inside here. ¿Cómo se llama? Aurelio just went over to the garden, picked a whole bunch of herbs and put them in some hot water for me. It's quite delicious. Ciao, Aurelio! Ciao, ciao, ciao! Aurelio was such a legend. I didn't film it, but I gave Aurelio a small souvenir from Australia, and you should have seen his face light up. He was like a kid at Christmas.
Here's a lake that you don't see every day. Looks normal, right? But it's two-tone.
It's because
It's quite strange. I'm currently cycling through a really remote area of Peru, and there's no cars, no people, no animals, yet every 5 or 10 minutes a passenger aircraft flies overhead. Well, I was wondering why I wasn't motoring along up that climb. 4960. It's fairly high. I am so stoked on the series of life decisions that allowed me to do that. That was super rowdy, and I loved it. Every day at 2:30, hailstorms. I've got no idea why it's so consistent, but what I do know is that I love getting ice in my mouth.
So this is kind of blowing my mind at the moment. It looks man-made, but it's actually 2 volcano-made rock walls. How wild is that? My parents are currently flying from Australia to Peru, so I'm going to take a 2-week holiday with them. I'm going to leave the bike and a lot of my gear here, so there's going to be no cycling, there's going to be no camping, there's going to be no cooking, and I probably won't do any filming either. That said, I think a few of you are probably keen to see Machu Picchu, so I'll probably bust the camera out for that. When you think Peru, you think Machu Picchu. Been looking forward to visiting this Inca city since I was a child. I'm currently making the pilgrimage up on the hiking trail, and I was expecting hundreds of people, but it's pretty much just me. Almost everybody catches the bus.
Machu Picchu didn't disappoint, but I feel that some of its magic was lost when it was reconstructed. For a lost city, everything is just a little bit too neat.
Oh, it's pinched his dinner. Oh.
These terraces are super impressive. They're each about 2 meters high, and there'd have to be 100 of them. Good morning. I've got to show you my killer campsite. We're deep in the nature, we're dozens of kilometers from the nearest humans, and we've got a beautiful snowy backdrop behind us. I also wanted to show you guys how I sleep at night, not physically but mentally. So I loop my tent pole and tent fly through my front wheel, and if I don't do this, I literally dream about my bike going missing all night.
Come here. Yeah, you're a friendly dog after all, aren't you? I normally don't have a lot of good things to say about mining, but for the humble bicycle traveller, we have a lot to be grateful for, because I'd say over 50% of the roads I've been riding would not exist if it wasn't for the mining industry. So, shout outs to mining.
Here we have an alpaca orgy. The male alpacas are trying to get their sperm into the female so that they can produce offspring. But it looks like one of the alpacas is a little bit confused because it's trying to mount a male.
What's special about this album?
If you don't get into old school, you'd have missed it. You'd have missed it. You'd have missed it.
This valley's so idyllic. really want to camp here, but I've still got way too much energy.
Why I am bringing this gentleman on stage now.
Isn't it beautiful? I could ride on roads like this forever. These rock formations are so impressive. I now just need a geologist with me to explain it all. Mud here is insanely sticky. It's all volcanic.
Today I'm departing the Peru Divide and heading into the Wawash Mountains. My plan is to push my touring bike on some hiking trails so that I can get up close and personal with some snowy peaks. If I tilt my phone, you can see how insane the terrain is. The views are going to be incredible. It's a good drop off. Woo!
I've been pushing for hours and hours and hours in the rain, and I'm starting to regret this route. I think if I had blue skies and mountain peaks, it would be a different story, but at the moment, it's not great. Over 3 days, I think I've given the Waiwash Mountains every opportunity to show me how great it is. But I've had about 1 hour of sunshine total. So I think I'm gonna take a beeline and find a dirt road. The Peru Divide is honestly one of the best touring routes in the world. In just a few kilometers, you'll see jagged snowy peaks, insane rock formations, colorful mineral deposits, grassy hills, and piles of volcanic rubble. It's one of the most geographically diverse places that I've ever been. A lone car or two per day will stop to check you're okay, but with views like these, of course you are. To take on the Peru Divide, you want a bike with 2-inch or wider tyres as well as super low gear ratios. I ended up pushing my bike for about 500 metres in total, so it's rough but rideable. It goes without saying that you should have decent fitness and should allow for 4 to 5 days at altitude before starting. I, Ali Denham of Australia, can guarantee that you will not regret spending 1 or 2 months cycling the Peru Divide. You may have noticed, but if not, the colours of this film were custom tuned by a follower. So thank you, Andreas. Your efforts are appreciated. Don't forget to give this film a like. And if you're now inspired to give the Peru Divide a crack, let me know in the comments section below. Also, this month I launched a Patreon page to help cover some of the costs of making these films. I break a lot of camera gear and spend a fair bit of time in hotels editing everything up, so if you'd like to support my efforts, you can find the link in the description below. Adios.